let's get started here with our first headline of the night. This is from Newsweek. Students are refusing to pay back their loans when the payment pause ends. According to Newsweek here, this is an article that just came out. Some college graduates are suggesting there should be a general boycott on repaying student loans once the current federal loan payment pause ends in the summer. The debt ceiling deal agreed between President Biden and Speaker McCarthy says the pause, initially introduced as a temporary measure during the coronavirus pandemic, will cease to be effective from 60 days after June 30th. You know, the media is really giving McCarthy that win for nothing. I mean, that was really, how do we know that was part of the deal? Didn't they announce that was expiring like 2 weeks before they actually made the debt ceiling deal?
Yeah, it was something that McCarthy used
to sell to the conservative.
To sell it to the conservative.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it was very transparent. Everyone knew that they had already decided they weren't extending it again.
Yeah, we've known that forever. So what's this? Oh, this was part of the deal.
The only way you could even stretch that is to say, well, he might have gone back on it and now his hands are tied.
Now his hands are going to be much more tied. Ro Khanna did an interview with Brianna Joy Gray where he once again made a little bit of a fool of himself.
I need to watch that. I heard she did a very good job there.
She did do a good job, and we would have covered it, but we just covered Ro Khanna on the debt ceiling last week. We thought it would be a little redundant. But yeah, that was well done on her part. And yeah, he's such a worthless coward. But here are some of their sources here that they're using to drum up speculation that a boycott might be coming down the pike here. One Twitter user from Detroit, talk about, using little things to try and make big things, right? We could all just refuse to pay our student loans, LOL. If there were mass collective action, they wouldn't be able to do shit. So here's Carrie Lynn Reinard, who teaches communication arts and sciences at Dominican University, wrote, people should just refuse en masse to pay their student loans back when payment resumes this summer. What will happen? Tank your credit scores and no one can afford a home ever? Oh, gee, how horrible. No repayment without equal financial burden across the country. That's a clever tweet because obviously students aren't able to buy homes now because they're saddled with the debt. So that's the point she's making there. I thought that was well said. A third Twitter user wrote, we really should all just refuse to pay our student loans. It's easier to do nothing if you're already doing nothing. Another user from Iowa City posted, goodbye to my credit score. I refuse to pay back student loan interest. I'm sorry, not to pay back, to back pay student loan interest. Right. So one of the things they're talking about doing is not just restarting student loans, but they're talking about whacking you for that interest that was accrued during the pause, which you talk about something that should spark a boycott and a student loan repayment strike. Obviously, it should. And obviously, we encourage that kind of mass action. But you know who doesn't? Mr. Joe Biden accomplishments guy on Twitter. If you remember that handle, we featured him in the previous show. I forget what segment it was. But this is a guy.
Is that the like low rent Shaggy?
Yeah, right. Well, it's I joked on Twitter, maybe it's Joe Biden's burner account, but I don't know if he's sophisticated enough or savvy enough to know what a burner account is or how to use one. But this is a Biden Stan account that just, does PR for Joe Biden. He's got about 70,000 followers.
He thinks a burner account is what he used to have with Heidi Fleiss.
Exactly. Good one. We should have a kick drum for that. But here's what Biden accomplishments guy thinks of a student debt repayment strike. If you do this, not only will you go into default and burn your credit, but the loan servicer can garnish your wages at a higher level than if you went on an IDR plan. People like this don't actually give a crap about your well-being. They'll let you suffer for the LOLs, for the LOLs. So I don't know if he's talking about the Stop Cop City accounts who posted that, or James Bickerton, who wrote the Newsweek article, as you can see in the byline there, or the various tweeters who expressed their resistance to entering into a student loan repayment plan. So I don't know who he's talking about. The people like this don't actually give a crap about your well-being. You know who obviously doesn't give a crap about your well-being? The Biden accomplishments guy Twitter handle, and for that matter, Joe Biden himself. We have talked at length about the fact that this student debt relief executive action seems like it was engineered to fail at the Supreme Court level because it used the COVID emergency justification as opposed to the Higher Education Act of 1965, which would have made a much more sound case. But here you have, this is sort of a low rent version of Brooklyn Dad Defiant or Politics Girl, or Harry Sisson, the real A team of paid DNC shills. There's them, and then there's the minor leaguers like these guys, the Biden accomplishments guy, the backbenchers, suspect, pardon me, is not on the payroll. I suspect this guy is just a good old-fashioned, salt-of-the-earth, authentic, true blue shitlib who's out here just doing damage control for Joe Biden. And look, this is like, if you do this, it's the same thing. The parliamentarian said we couldn't raise the minimum wage. The Supreme Court's going to strike this down. We have to play by the rules. We're not like the Republicans. We're not like Trump. We play by the rules. We believe in democracy. So if the Supreme Court says you got to pay the debt back with interest, you got to pay the debt back with interest. Don't get any ideas about mass collective action. No. Can't have that.
Yeah, we should really make like a Rocky kind of movie about, a third string shitlib influencer trying to make it to the top. Yeah. At the beginning, they're only getting like 45 views. You play the sad music. You see their like dingy apartment, and then they have a breakout tweet. You do the whole heroic arc. It's. I mean, if you've ever talked to shitlibs, and I know all of our people have, what's most remarkable about that tweet is, that's pretty much how these fucking people think. Like, it's not for anyone with a brain. It's for those people, right? Because those are the people who would sign up to the account and make it a thing. Right. Those are the people who would read that and go, yeah, God damn it, don't get any ideas about not paying back the loans. Don't do that shit. You're just going to fuck yourself up. It's for those people. Exactly. It's not for us. I don't think we're ever going to be following this shit.
Right.
But yeah, you talk to the shitlibs, man. Like, it's amazing how easy it is to just tell them something completely absurd like that, and they'll just repeat it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, now they have the perfect framework to sort of justify those kinds of excuses, because any deference to the system now is seen as a virtue amongst these people, right? So whether it's the parliamentarian saying we can't raise the minimum wage, or whether it's Joe Biden saying no, I don't want to abolish the filibuster to pass this and that, or whether it's abiding by a terrible Supreme Court ruling. This is all, these all provide opportunities.
Or the parliamentarian.
Right, and the parliamentarian.
That was one of the most glaring examples of their stupidity that I've ever seen. And I'm sure he doesn't watch the show. I've mentioned this before. My father is like a character out of a fucking Tom Waits song, man. That guy trains horses and lives at the fucking track. All right. And my father's like, yeah, this is like the lost Tom Waits track. Senate parliamentarian ruled against that wage increase. We couldn't have no higher wages. I'm like, Dad, these fucking people wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire. A guy like you who's lived this fucking bohemian professional gambler horse trainer life, who lives above a fucking stable, they don't give a fuck about you. What are you defending this for? But for these boomers, these people of that generation, it's the frog in the pot of boiling water. I think all of the institutions they grew up trusting became this monstrous thing slowly, and they just don't realize that they're Republicans now.
Yeah, I mean, that is what happened. I mean, that is how this realignment happened, right? Certain factions of the Democratic base became more sort of sympathetic to Republican arguments of old. Just reverence for the system, reverence for the structures, reverence for the institutions, right? To the point where I remember in 2016 with the DNC, with the balloons and everything at the convention, CNN says, the Democrats have reclaimed patriotism. And they said, this could have been Ronald Reagan's convention. It's all that. It's all part of that.
Right.
Please clap.